Chapter 3452. Has the Wu family gone crazy for money? The Cold Water Holy Land's long-standing opponent has always been the Question Dao sect. Without the Question Dao sect as an external enemy, the Cold Water Holy Land's internal affairs would be simple and easy to handle. Now that the Question Dao sect has been almost crippled by Lin Moyu, the Cold Water Holy Land temporarily has no external enemies, so how could there be problems? Lin Moyu said,
"Prevention is better than cure. We don't know when the great changes in heaven and earth will come, and we don't know how the world will change then. Since it's called a great change, the changes should be very shocking. Since ancient times, every major change in heaven and earth has caused shifts in power. Many talented individuals will emerge during these times. They will achieve great things and create their own powers. As new powers appear, many old powers will collapse. Whether the Cold Water Holy Land will fall apart, I don't know and can't predict. We can only prepare. Maybe the Dongfang family might have problems first. It's all unpredictable. When the great changes in heaven and earth occur, anything is possible."
Lin Moyu had imagined many possibilities, so he wanted to give a heads up and make preparations in advance. The more thorough the preparations, the better they could handle future changes. Little May, gnawing on meat and tilting her head, thought for a long time but still couldn't quite understand.
"Teacher, can you stop being mysterious? Just say directly what you've thought of."
Lin Moyu smiled and said,
"I hadn't thought of it before, but after meeting Dongfang Guantian this time, I suddenly thought of a possibility. Back when heaven and earth weren't separated, Dao Venerable Realm cultivators could go to the outer Great Dao. Later, even after heaven and earth were separated, there were still many Dao Venerable Realm beings in the outer Great Dao. Not just Dao Venerable Realm, I once had the fortune to see the outer Great Dao. Besides Great Dao Realm and Dao Venerable Realm beings, there were also beings of other realms. Maybe those people have been reproducing in the outer Great Dao. After all, so many years have passed, anything is possible. The root of the great changes in heaven and earth is that the origin continent wants to restore itself, to return the 9 continents to their original state. When that happens, the 4 continents will become 9 again. The additional 5 continents will need living beings. Where do you think these beings will come from?"
Little May suddenly said,
"Teacher, do you mean that people from the outer Great Dao will come down?"
Lin Moyu nodded.
"Very likely. After all, the origin continent is their root. At that time, even Great Dao Realm beings might come down. The Question Dao sect also has people in the outer Great Dao. Do you think they might cause trouble for the Cold Water Holy Land?"
Little May said,
"But our Cold Water Holy Land also has ancestors, right?"
Lin Moyu made an affirmative sound.
"But it's hard to say about strength levels. Dongfang Duantian is very strong, at least a 5th grade innate soul. If he also comes, with his help, the Question Dao sect won't be able to stir up much trouble."
In Lin Moyu's imagination, once the great changes in heaven and earth occur, the separation of heaven and earth will surely be broken. When people come down from above, the origin continent will certainly be in chaos for a while. He didn't know if he would have time to intervene then. After all, he also had his own power, Yudao City, and might be too busy. At the same time, it depended on what those in the outer Great Dao were like, whether they were tyrannical or reasonable, all unknown. However, Lin Moyu believed one thing: a strong fist is the hard truth. If you don't reason, I'll kill you with one punch. After flying for 2 days, the cloud-piercing sword left the Broken Sky domain and officially entered the Wu family's Rift Wind Cliff. The area of Rift Wind Cliff was smaller than the Broken Sky domain by about 1 circle. The Wu family was also one of the more special top powers. The other top powers were all very ancient, founded by Great Dao Realm powerhouses with deep foundations. Only the Wu family had a shorter history. They didn't have Great Dao Realm ancestors, and their foundation was far inferior to the other top powers. But setting aside ancestors, the Wu family's strength was definitely not weak. They had 4 9th-level Dao Venerables, and also a large number of 8th and 7th-level elders. The Wu family's model for cultivating strong individuals was quite intense, like breeding venomous insects, where the strong rise and the weak fall with little familial affection. At the same time, the Wu family treated other families within their territory the same way. Those who obeyed lived. Those who resisted perished, sometimes even unreasonably. After entering Rift Wind Cliff, Lin Moyu headed straight for Wind City. Wind City was the center of Rift Wind Cliff and also the origin of the Wu family. According to the information he knew, Rift Wind Cliff was once a highland, with terrain even higher than the Question Heaven domain. 1,000 miles behind Wind City, there was a cliff where fierce winds howled year-round, so strong that they created many rifts in space. Some said that if this cliff didn't block the fierce winds, allowing them to blow out, the entire area where Rift Wind Cliff was located would become a forbidden zone. No one could reproduce and thrive in such a place, which shows how harsh the environment of Rift Wind Cliff was. Even with Rift Wind Cliff blocking the fierce winds, the entire land was still swept by strong, cold winds. And the closer to Rift Wind Cliff, the stronger the winds, cutting like knives when blowing on the body. At the same time, the closer to Rift Wind Cliff, the stronger the origin power contained in heaven and earth. For cultivators comprehending the Wind Great Tao, the benefits were greater. Gradually, a pattern formed in the Wu family's territory. The closer to Rift Wind Cliff, the more cultivators there were, eventually forming powers of various sizes. These powers surrounded the Wu family like satellites. The Wu family also continuously infiltrated and controlled them. Now, almost every power had Wu family members occupying crucial positions. The Wu family was like a tree with lush branches and leaves, and those powers were like the leaves and fruits on the big tree, all needing to depend on the Wu family to survive. After flying in Rift Wind Cliff for more than a day, the wind became stronger. The cloud-piercing sword was enveloped in a layer of defense, blocking the strong winds. A small city appeared in view. This city wasn't large, with a formation covering it outside, blocking the fierce winds. From a distance, many people could be seen in the city. Lin Moyu said,
"We've reached Wind One City. Let's go in first."
To enter Wind City, one must first go to several cities on the outskirts of Wind City, complete the procedures, and get permission before being able to enter Wind City. If not done this way, one would have to fight their way in. Lin Moyu came here for the Hell Fragment, not to fight with the Wu family. Some troubles weren't necessary. Entering Wind One City, Lin Moyu went to the passage point set up by the Wu family in Wind One City. After paying the corresponding origin crystals, he queued to enter Wind City. Many people wanted to enter Wind City every day. The Wu family used warships to transport people back and forth, with a daily limit. Moreover, after entering Wind City, one could only stay for 2 days. If one wanted to increase the length of stay, they had to pay corresponding origin crystals. The longer the stay, the more origin crystals needed. The queue was quite long. Lin Moyu needed to wait 2 days in Wind One City before he could enter Wind City. Little May frowned.
"Has the Wu family gone crazy for money?"
Lin Moyu understood the Wu family.
"It's not that they've gone crazy for money, but that they need money. It's not easy for the Wu family to develop and grow so much in such a short time."
Little May said,
"Wind City is so expensive. Why are there still so many people going? Is Rift Wind Cliff that attractive?"
Lin Moyu smiled and said,
"Cultivation, wealth, they all move people's hearts."
Suddenly, Lin Moyu turned his head and saw Maple Leaf Elder in the distance. He couldn't help but smile.
What a coincidence.
Chapter 3453. Only in, never out. Little May also saw Maple Leaf Elder.
I didn't expect to encounter him here.
In Nine Heavens Peak, although Little May was in the Rule World, Lin Moyu had let her see everything happening outside, so she naturally knew about Maple Leaf Elder. Little May muttered.
His expression doesn't look too good.
Lin Moyu scanned him with a glance and already knew why.
He should be entangled in misfortune now, so his mood naturally wouldn't be too good.
He was close to Gale Elder. When Gale Elder was affected by the misfortune skull, he was also influenced. At that time, part of his fortune also turned into misfortune, but fortunately, the misfortune wasn't too deep and was slowly receding. Barring any unexpected events, he would be fine after a period of bad luck. Little May asked curiously.
What is he doing here? There seem to be quite a few Dao Venerables in Wind One City. Isn't this number a bit too many?
Lin Moyu smiled and said,
Want to know? It's simple.
Saying this, he took Little May to the most luxurious restaurant in Wind City. The Wu family made money from almost everything. Within the range of Rift Wind Cliff, many businesses were monopolized by the Wu family. Fine cuisine was one of the major items. The restaurant operated by the Wu family was called Heavenly Dance Food Manor. Naturally, they didn't sell ordinary food. They sold delicacies made from spirit beasts and spirit materials, which were not only delicious but also helpful for cultivation. Apart from being expensive, there were no flaws. After Lin Moyu brought Little May into the Heavenly Dance Food Manor, he asked for a private room and ordered several particularly expensive dishes. The private room had dedicated service staff. The environment was serene. The one serving Lin Moyu and Little May was a young girl about 17 or 18 years old, with True God Realm cultivation, just a beginner. While serving the dishes, Lin Moyu suddenly tossed her a 5th grade origin crystal.
Are you from the Wu family?
The young girl caught the origin crystal, her face immediately showing joy. Many customers would give origin crystals, but those who directly gave 5th grade origin crystals like Lin Moyu were almost non-existent. The best origin crystal she had ever received was only a 3rd grade premium one. She hurriedly said,
This servant is not from the Wu family.
Lin Moyu nodded.
I see there are many Dao Venerables in Wind One City these days. Do you know why?
As he spoke, he tossed her another 5th grade origin crystal. The young girl caught the origin crystal and immediately answered,
Something happened in Wind City these days. That's why so many Dao Venerables came.
Lin Moyu tossed her a 3rd origin crystal, then took out a handful and placed them on the table.
Tell me in detail, and all these will be yours.
Dozens of origin crystals piled on the table, all 5th grade. For the young girl, this was an enormous fortune. The young girl's eyes shone.
A few days ago, treasure lights suddenly burst out from Riftwind Cliff. There were many treasures in the light. Those treasures were flying around inside Riftwind Cliff, and then many Dao Venerables came, all preparing to seek treasures.
The reason why so many people were flocking to Wine City was partly because of Rift Wind Cliff. Rift Wind Cliff was very large. Except for the core area firmly guarded by the Wu family, the marginal areas were open to the public. However, people who wanted to enter had to pay an entrance fee, and the fee wasn't cheap. In Rift Wind Cliff, one could better comprehend wind-related great Daos, and at the same time discover some rare materials. Sometimes, one could even obtain powerful treasures. This was why so many people wanted to go to Rift Wind Cliff. Lin Moyu asked,
Has this kind of thing happened before?
The young girl immediately replied,
It has happened before, every once in a while. But this time there were especially many treasures. I heard there were several hundred, and even the worst ones were Dao Venerable Realm treasures.
As she said these words, the young girl's eyes sparkled, full of anticipation. Dao Venerable Realm treasures. If she could have one, it would be an immense fortune. Lin Moyu questioned the young girl, and she answered honestly, telling everything she knew. After all, the young girl's realm was still not high enough. She only knew one side of many things, not the other. Lin Moyu knew he couldn't ask much more, so he gestured for her to leave. Little May looked at Lin Moyu's thoughtful expression.
Teacher, do you think there's any problem?
Lin Moyu said,
If I'm not mistaken, Rift Wind Cliff should also be one of the battlefields of the Origin Catastrophe.
Little May blinked her eyes.
During the Origin Catastrophe, there should have been many battlefields. It's not strange if Rift Wind Cliff was one of them.
Lin Moyu smiled slightly.
Indeed, it's not strange. I'm just curious about the Wu family. The Wu family rose to power from Rift Wind Cliff. I'm curious about what they obtained inside. And for so many years, the Wu family has been guarding the core area of Rift Wind Cliff. What exactly is still in the core area? The Heaven-Seeking Seal is in the core area. The Hell Fragment I'm looking for this time should also be inside. Besides these, guess what else might be in the core area?
Little May looked like a curious baby, full of interest.
Teacher, just tell me directly.
Lin Moyu chuckled lightly.
It's normal that you can't guess, because your teacher can't guess either.
Little May's eyes widened, unable to imagine such an answer.
Teacher, you're fooling me again. It's not funny at all.
Saying this, she stuffed a large piece of meat into her mouth, eating while shouting, "I'll bite you to death." Little May had memories of her previous life. Sometimes she was mature, sometimes like a child, very interesting. Lin Moyu was amused by Little May's behavior.
Sometimes joking around is quite fun, isn't it?
Little May shook her head.
Not fun at all.
Lin Moyu said,
Actually, there's no need to guess. We'll know when we go there. The three ancestors' people should have arrived in Wind City. We'll know when we get there.
After teasing Little May, Lin Moyu looked down through the window, seeing the people coming and going in Wind One City. There were indeed quite a few Dao venerables. In the distance, a warship flew over, bringing a batch of people and taking away another batch, heading towards Wind City. The Wu family's warships made several round trips every day, bringing one batch of people out and taking another batch back. In Wind City, if you didn't pay enough fees, you couldn't stay for a long time. Everything was about money. The Wu family valued money highly. Although the Wu family was large in scale and needed a lot of resources to maintain their family and cultivation, no other family was as greedy for money to this extent. Even businessmen like the three ancestors weren't like this.
Why is the Wu family so greedy for money? And for so many years, the Wu family seems to only take in and never give out. They've obtained so many origin crystals, but it seems they've never spent them. Where did all this money go?
Lin Moyu felt that the Wu family must have secrets. Little May muttered beside him,
Teacher, why don't you just ask those three guys?
Lin Moyu chuckled lightly.
Then let's ask.
With a thought, Wu Xingguang, Wu Bingchuan, and Wu Jiuan appeared beside him. Lin Moyu asked straightforwardly,
Do you know the reason why the Wu family is so greedy for money?
Chapter 3454. The Wu family is very short of money. A young master of this generation of the Wu family and two Wu family elders clearly didn't know how to answer Lin Moyu's question. Lin Moyu realized his question wasn't appropriate and changed his approach.
Is the Wu family short of money? Wu Jiuyuan, you answer.
Wu Jiuan said,
Yes, the Wu family is very short of money.
Lin Moyu was clearly surprised by this answer. The Wu family needing money was one thing, but how could they be short to this extent? From what was currently known, the Wu family's money-making speed, at least in the Riftwind Cliff area, was even faster than the Lufeng Chamber of Commerce.
Explain how you're short of money.
Lin Moyu pressed. At this point, Little May also pricked up her ears, listening attentively. Wu Jiuan said,
I don't know exactly how we're short of money, but I know the family is very short of money. Every expenditure has to be carefully accounted for, and money that shouldn't be spent definitely isn't spent. All the cultivation needs of the younger generation are very precisely calculated. Not even one extra pill would be given.
Lin Moyu looked at Wu Xingguang.
You continue.
Wu Xingguang said,
The family is indeed short of money. Every month, we're given a fixed amount. It's enough, but there's definitely no surplus. Moreover, the family head often says that the family doesn't have enough money, and we need to spend frugally.
Lin Moyu looked at Wu Bingchuan.
Do you have anything to add?
Wu Bingchuan replied,
Many things in the family are only known by a few elders. Even the family head isn't very clear. The total annual expenditure of the family is handled by Elder Ling Xiu. How much money can be spent in a year is also directly given by him.
Little May found this more and more intriguing. It was the first time she had heard of such a thing. She understood the principle of saving, but saving to this extent wasn't called saving anymore, it was called being stingy. There would always be some waste in pill materials, but the Wu family could be stingy to the point of not wasting even a single pill. If this was really the case, the Wu family shouldn't be short of money. Yet the Wu family was still very short of money. To be precise, they were short of origin crystals. Every year, the Wu family would take many treasures to exchange for origin crystals at the Lu Feng Chamber of Commerce, and these origin crystals would ultimately disappear to an unknown destination. After listening, Lin Moyu had already locked his target on Riftwind Cliff. He felt that the reason for the Wu family's situation must be related to Riftwind Cliff. Riftwind Cliff was divided into two areas, the core and the periphery. Only Wu family members could enter the core area, and each Wu family member only had one chance to enter after becoming a Dao Venerable. Unless they could become a 9th-level elder, they would never be allowed to enter a second time in their lifetime. This was an iron rule of the Wu family. It was the same for Wu Xingguang, Wu Jiyuan, and even Wu Xingchen, who was currently designated as the next family head. They had all only entered Rift Wind Cliff once. Wu Bingchuan and Wu Jiyuan didn't gain any benefits from it. Only Wu Xingguang obtained the heaven-seeking seal mark, which was considered some benefit. Wu family members all knew that there were many treasures in the core area of Riftwind Cliff, but not everyone had the fortune to obtain them. As for the peripheral area, that was used by the Wu family to make money. As for how they made money, they weren't very clear. The Wu family's business was handled by dedicated people. After this round of questioning, Lin Moyu had a preliminary impression of the Wu family. This was a family with strict rules, almost to the point of having no human touch, everything oriented towards profit. Everyone had to contribute to the Wu family. Once they lost their value, they would become discarded pieces, becoming tools of the Wu family, spending the rest of their lives seeking benefits for the Wu family. After putting the three back, Lin Moyu smiled and said,
"All right, in a couple of days we'll go to Wind City. Then we'll enter Riftwind Cliff and see if we can solve the mystery of the Wu family's greed for money."
Little May was quite interested.
"Great! With teacher here, we'll definitely solve the mystery."
Her eyes were burning with curiosity, her face full of interest. 2 days later, Lin Moyu and Little May boarded the Wu family's warship heading to Wind City. The warship was full of people, about 1,000 in total. This was just the number from Wind 1 City. Besides this, there were Wind 2 City, 3 City, and so on. The Wu family had a total of 18 satellite cities like Wind 1 City, and the warships made several round trips every day. One can imagine how many people entered and left Wind City every day. The warship's flight route was fixed. Lin Moyu discovered that the warship was actually flying within a formation group. This formation group was very large. If one didn't fly along the fixed route, they would trigger the formation group and be attacked. The Wu family used this method to turn Wind City into a paradise isolated from the world. After flying for an hour, Wind City appeared in view. It was a huge city, the entire city wrapped in fierce winds, sealed tightly. To enter or exit, one could only use specific routes. Otherwise, they couldn't get in or out. If one tried to force their way in, even a Dao Venerable would be killed by the formation. The warship steadily stopped at the gate of Wind City. Everyone disembarked in an orderly manner. When passing through the city gate, everyone was given a token. The token had a number on it, which wasn't fixed but would constantly decrease. Every hour, the number would decrease by 1. When everyone first received the token, the number was 10. This meant they could stay in Wind City for 10 hours. If they wanted to stay longer, they could pay origin crystals through the token at any time to increase the time. To stay an extra hour in Wind City, one had to pay a 3rd-grade origin crystal, which was very expensive. This also meant that most of the people who came here were cultivators at the Heavenly Venerable Realm or above. Ordinary cultivators simply couldn't afford it. If one didn't pay origin crystals, they had to leave Wind City before the number reached 0. Otherwise, they would be attacked by the formation. This method fully demonstrated the Wu family's greed for money. At first, Little May didn't understand why so many people wanted to come to Wind City when it was so expensive. After entering Wind City, she realized that a large part of those people came for various materials in Wind City. There were many shops in Wind City, most of them run by Wu family members, selling various materials related to the Wind Great Tao. There were also various wind-related spirit foods and pills, many of which couldn't be bought elsewhere. The entire Wind City could be said to be a holy land for those comprehending the Wind Great Tao. Moreover, comprehending the Wind Great Tao in Wind City had a twice the result with half the effort effect, so people came no matter how expensive it was. Some people had deep backgrounds and wealthy families. They could stay in Wind City for many years, both for cultivation and for seeking treasures. This time, with a large number of precious treasures appearing in Rift Wind Cliff, plus those coming to seek treasures, the number of people was even greater. The Wu family controlled the number of people entering Wind City. They only let in as many as left each day, maintaining good order in Wind City. Lin Moyu and Little Mei went directly to the Lu Feng Chamber of Commerce in the center of Wind City. Lin Moyu revealed his high-level membership status and was quickly led to a private room on the second floor. A moment later, the door of the private room opened, and an old acquaintance walked in. Lu Zeng greeted Lin Moyu.
Mr. Lin, long time no see.
Lin Moyu smiled and said,
Congratulations, Elder Lu, on your great progress in cultivation, becoming an 8th level elder.
Chapter 3455. They won't have opinions, and they don't dare to have opinions. After not seeing Lu Zeng for many years, Lin Moyu was somewhat surprised that Lu Zeng had advanced from the 7th to the 8th level of Tao Venerable. He remembered that Lu Zeng was still quite far from the 8th level of Tao Venerable. Normally, it would take at least tens of thousands of years to advance. Now that Lu Zeng had advanced to the 8th level of Tao Venerable, he must have had a great opportunity. Lu Zeng's face was full of smiles as he sat down in front of Lin Moyu.
It's all thanks to Mr. Lin's blessing. The 3 ancestors said I did well last time and gave me quite a few rewards.
Lin Moyu understood. Lu Zeng's opportunity came from the 3 ancestors, and the root of it all was because of himself, so Lu Zeng credited this favor to him. Lin Moyu smiled and said,
The 3 ancestors sent Elder Lu here this time, clearly because Elder Lu is capable enough.
Lu Zeng smiled and took out an object from his bosom. This object wasn't placed in a storage space, but kept close to his body, showing it was very special and couldn't be put into a storage space. Lu Zeng carefully held it in his palm. It was a delicate, small house. The house emitted a soft light, looking quite extraordinary. Lin Moyu couldn't tell the specific grade of this small house, but he knew it was unusual. Lu Zeng said,
The 3 ancestors said there's a wind opening in the core area of Rift Wind Cliff. He needs Mr. Lin to place this small house in the wind opening.
Lin Moyu took the small house, examining it while saying,
Isn't the core area of Rift Wind Cliff only accessible to Wu family members?
Lu Zeng said,
That's right, but one can enter the core area from the peripheral area. The 3 ancestors said Mr. Lin would have a way.
Lin Moyu laughed.
The 3 ancestors really think highly of me. If I'm not mistaken, that hell fragment should also be in the core area, right?
Lu Zeng nodded.
Yes, the 3 ancestors said the hell fragment isn't far from the wind opening.
Alright, Lin Moyu already knew the 3 ancestors' calculations. The 3 ancestors probably knew all along that there was a hell fragment in Rift Wind Cliff, but he never told Lin Moyu. The 3 ancestors was very tight-lipped and never did business at a loss. Lin Moyu said,
I suppose Elder Lu also doesn't know what this small house is for.
Lu Zeng smiled.
Mr. Lin is correct. Lu truly doesn't know.
Lin Moyu sighed.
Alright, anyway, I've already been calculated by the 3 ancestors. He knows I'll definitely go. Where is the 3 ancestors? I want to ask him some things.
Lu Zeng said,
This is Wind City. The 3 ancestors isn't convenient to come here. I don't know what Mr. Lin wants to ask. Perhaps I can help.
Lin Moyu said,
What about the Heaven-Seeking Seal? Heaven-Seeking Seal?
Lu Zeng tried hard to recall, but finally shook his head.
I've never heard of it.
Lin Moyu thought to himself, as expected. It wasn't surprising that Lu Zeng hadn't heard of the Heaven-Seeking Seal. After all, he temporarily couldn't access the true core of the Lu Feng Chamber of Commerce. Lu Zeng said,
How about Mr. Lin waits in Wind City for a few days? I'll contact the 3 ancestors and ask for Mr. Lin.
Lin Moyu said,
Never mind, I was just asking casually. It's not very important. These days, many people are coming to Riftwind Cliff to seek treasures. I might as well take the opportunity to mix in. As for the heaven-seeking seal, I'll ask the three ancestors later.
Lu Zeng made an affirmative sound.
Then I'll trouble Mr. Lin.
Lin Moyu smiled.
It's no trouble. That's business between me and the three ancestors. We're just taking what we need from each other.
Lu Zeng said.
Then does Mr. Lin have anything else that needs Lu to do? Feel free to instruct. The three ancestors said to satisfy Mr. Lin's needs as much as possible.
Lin Moyu didn't stand on ceremony.
Help me prepare some premium-grade third-level origin crystals, as many as possible. Just deduct it from my Chamber of Commerce account.
Lu Zeng nodded.
That's not a problem. I'll have someone prepare it right away. Please wait a moment, Mr. Lin.
Saying this, Lu Zeng left to prepare the third-level origin crystals. Lin Moyu didn't know how much money he still had in his Lu Feng Chamber of Commerce account, but he thought it shouldn't be too little. The three ancestors had sold many methods for breaking through to the Great Dao realm, and for each sale, Lin Moyu would get a share. The three ancestors, being a businessman, was quite trustworthy. Lin Moyu believed he wouldn't embezzle the money he was due. After Lu Zeng left, Little Mei finally spoke.
Teacher, this house looks very special.
Lin Moyu had already examined the small house front and back. Apart from knowing it was extraordinary, he couldn't see anything else. If he wanted to know more, he would have to refine it. However, Lin Moyu could sense that it belonged to someone else. Its owner should be the three ancestors, so he couldn't refine it. Lin Moyu said,
It is very special, but your teacher doesn't know exactly what it's for. This is a transaction between your teacher and the three ancestors. I just need to get the hell fragment. Nothing else matters.
As he spoke, Lin Moyu had a thought and put the small house into his storage space. Ordinary storage rings might not work, but that didn't mean his storage space wouldn't. Indeed, the small house went in very smoothly, without any problem. In the mysterious space of the Eastern Continent's commercial city, the three ancestors suddenly frowned.
It disappeared? Could it be that he entered Riftwind Cliff? But I should still be able to sense it a bit. How strange, what exactly happened?
After Lin Moyu put away the small house, the three ancestors instantly lost connection with it. For a moment, the three ancestors couldn't understand. But his will wasn't convenient to go to Riftwind Cliff. To know the answer, he could only send someone to investigate, which would take time. Lin Moyu waited for a while before Lu Zeng returned with the third-level origin crystals. The quantity was very large, a full 1,000,000. 1,000,000 premium-grade third-level origin crystals was already an extremely huge fortune. Even top powers would have to exert some effort to produce this much. Lu Zeng said,
Originally, these third-level origin crystals were prepared for the Wu family. But since Mr. Lin wants them, we'll give them to Mr. Lin first.
Lin Moyu didn't stand on ceremony with Lu Zeng and accepted the origin crystals.
What about the Wu family's side?
Although he said this, he didn't really care about the Wu family's problem at all. He was just asking casually. Lu Zeng was also indifferent.
We'll transfer some from other branches. It's just a delay of a few days. The Wu family won't have any opinions, and they don't dare to have opinions.
The Lu Feng Chamber of Commerce didn't put the Wu family in their eyes at all. Speaking very firmly, Lin Moyu smiled.
Indeed domineering. All right, I'll set out for Riftwind Cliff soon.
Lu Zeng said.
What about this little miss?
Lin Moyu said.
Little Mei will follow me. She'll enter my rule world when the time comes.
Lu Zeng nodded.
Riftwind Cliff isn't safe. Mr. Lin should still be careful.
Lin Moyu said.
Thank you for your concern, Elder. I'll be careful.
At the entrance of Riftwind Cliff, a long queue had already formed. Everyone paid origin crystals and received a pass token before they could enter Riftwind Cliff. The entire Riftwind Cliff was covered by a large formation. Like in Wind City, entry to Riftwind Cliff was charged by the hour. Each hour also cost one third-level origin crystal, which was paid separately and didn't conflict with the fees in Wind City. Calculated together, after entering Rift Wind Cliff, one had to pay 2 third-level origin crystals per hour. After queuing for half a day, it was finally Lin Moyu's turn. The Wu family member guarding the entrance didn't even raise his head and directly asked,
How long do you want to stay?
Chapter 3456. The Wu family should have bad luck too. The Wu family member carried an arrogant attitude, not very polite. Though he was only a heavenly venerable, he seemed to look down even on Dao venerables. This was the Wu family's territory, this was Wind City, he was a Wu family member, this was his confidence. If it were outside, he would have been killed countless times already. Lin Moyu looked at him and said flatly,
10 hours.
Saying this, he tossed out 10 third-grade origin crystals. The man took the origin crystals with a hint of disdain and threw a token on the table.
Take it, this is your token.
At the same time, he muttered softly,
A poor Dao Venerable, what can you do in 10 hours?
His voice was very low, but Lin Moyu heard it clearly. Lin Moyu picked up the token and said calmly,
You're so arrogant, does the Wu family know?
The man glanced at Lin Moyu.
Whether I'm arrogant or not, is it any of your business? This is the Wu family's territory. If you want to go, then go. If not, get lost.
Lin Moyu smiled slightly.
Very nice attitude.
Taking the token, Lin Moyu walked towards Rift Wind Cliff, while the misfortune lich silently appeared beside him.
Go!
With a thought, the misfortune lich had already crawled onto the man's head. The entire process was silent and undetected. Even the Wu family's formation didn't notice. Lin Moyu muttered to himself,
Because of these few words of yours, the Wu family is about to have bad luck.
The misfortune lich had already activated continuous misfortune, absorbing the man's fortune and converting it into misfortune. This unnamed heavenly venerable was a Wu family member. His fortune was connected to the Wu family's. Not only would his fortune turn into misfortune, but the Wu family's fortune would also gradually turn into misfortune. Eventually, misfortune would fall on every Wu family member's head. The entire Wu family would have bad luck. Lin Moyu entered Rift Wind Cliff, but the misfortune lich didn't leave. It continued to lie on the man's head, absorbing and converting fortune. Passing through the formation set up by the Wu family, Lin Moyu entered the peripheral area of Rift Wind Cliff. Rift Wind Cliff was a huge cliff. Below the cliff was a canyon where fierce winds howled year-round. The token in his hand was flashing. Its number had already changed from 10 to 9. He had over 9 hours left. Space distorted behind him as another person entered. Lin Moyu took a step forward, leaping into Rift Wind Cliff, advancing randomly with the fierce winds, regardless of direction. After flying for a few minutes, he had completely left the entry point, not knowing where he was. Lin Moyu stopped in the fierce winds, his gaze sweeping the surroundings. The Wu family's formation was completely visible to him. After looking for 5 minutes, Lin Moyu's lips curled slightly as he casually drew several runes. The runes flew into the token, and the number on the token immediately changed. It directly changed from 9 to 999. There were dozens of 9s on the token, so many that Lin Moyu couldn't be bothered to count. Then he did the same thing, changing the number on the Wind City token to dozens of 9s as well. The Wu family's formation seemed powerful, but in Lin Moyu's eyes, it was full of loopholes, easily broken.
Next is to find the entrance to the core area. In Rift Wind Cliff, the closer to the core area, the stronger the wind force. So, I just need to go in the direction where the wind force is stronger.
Lin Moyu carefully sensed the changes in wind force, quickly finding the direction. The winds in Rift Wind Cliff would change in size and strength as they constantly collided with the cliff walls. Some winds became weaker after collision, while others actually increased in strength. Lin Moyu could only sense repeatedly, constantly changing direction, following the changes in the wind, seeking increasingly strong winds. He didn't care about direction. In Rift Wind Cliff, there was no fixed direction. He just followed the wind force. Wherever the wind was stronger, he went there. As for treasure hunting, that wasn't his purpose this time. Along the way, Lin Moyu also saw a treasure. Watching it fly by not far away, Lin Moyu didn't chase after it. The treasure was wrapped in fierce winds, dancing in rift wind cliff with no fixed direction. Whether one could encounter it was purely a matter of luck. Moreover, the treasure flew extremely fast. Lin Moyu estimated that it would be very difficult for anyone below the 4th level of Dao Venerable to catch up. During this time, he also encountered several cultivators. They were in a hurry with obvious signs of having been in battle. Clearly, these people had fought over treasures. Lin Moyu didn't pay attention to them, continuing to search for direction. He knew it wouldn't be easy to enter the core area from the peripheral area. Otherwise, in so many years, someone would have gone in already. But if the 3 ancestors said it was possible, then it must be possible. If he couldn't find it, then the 3 ancestors must have made a mistake. After searching for several hours, the winds Lin Moyu felt became stronger and stronger, the wind force greater and greater. The wind had completely turned into blades, containing powerful force, blowing on his body and also on his soul. The pain on his skin was a small matter. The wind in rift wind cliff blew through his body onto his soul world, making his soul world buzz.
At this intensity, even a Dao Venerable could be seriously injured if not careful. If the wind force in the core area is even stronger than here, how did Wu Xingguang enter back then?
In the soul world, Wu Xingguang was summoned. The soul asked,
Wu Xingguang, when you entered the core area of Rift Wind Cliff back then, how did you ensure your own safety?
Wu Xingguang said,
We would receive a protective jade pendant from the family. As long as we wore the protective jade pendant, the winds in Rift Wind Cliff wouldn't harm us.
Lin Moyu continued to ask,
What if you don't have the protective jade pendant?
Wu Xingguang said,
In the core area, weak winds can kill a 4th level Dao Venerable. Strong winds can seriously injure a 7th level elder.
So strong, Lin Moyu was also somewhat surprised. Killing a 4th level Dao Venerable, seriously injuring a 7th level elder, the Wu family's Rift Wind Cliff was actually so powerful. This was completely different from what the world knew.
It seems the Wu family has hidden many secrets.
Lin Moyu thought to himself, continuing to ask,
Have you been to the peripheral area of Rift Wind Cliff?
Wu Xingguang shook his head.
No, I haven't.
Alright, since he hadn't been there, it meant Wu Xingguang didn't know how to enter the core area from the peripheral area. He could only search slowly. Lin Moyu put away his thoughts of taking a shortcut and continued to search for direction based on wind strength. After searching for several more hours, a black dot rapidly enlarged in his vision. A treasure was flying towards him head-on. He wouldn't deliberately seek treasures, but for one coming straight at him like this, Lin Moyu naturally wouldn't let it go. The treasure was flying very fast, like a meteor crashing towards him. Lin Moyu reached out and grabbed it firmly in his hand. The treasure was wrapped in strong winds. The intense wind blew Lin Moyu back several hundred meters before he stopped. The treasure was a small, delicate flying sword. It looked exquisite, emitting an ancient aura.
This is a sword from prehistoric times.
Lin Moyu saw divine runes drawn on the sword hilt, directly determining its era.
Although its grade is ordinary, it should be quite good for little Mei to use.
Just as he was about to put the sword away, suddenly space violently distorted, and a powerful attack came straight at him. Lin Moyu took a step, instantly avoiding it, while looking up to see a middle-aged man at the 6th level of Dao Venerable rushing to kill him.
Put down the treasure sword, and I'll spare your life.
The middle-aged man shouted angrily, while throwing another punch as he spoke. Chapter 3457. Do you still want it? The middle-aged Dao Venerable said he would spare Lin Moyu's life if he put down the treasure sword, but his hand didn't stop at all. Perhaps in his eyes, it was more convenient to kill Lin Moyu than to let him voluntarily put down the sword. Lin Moyu was at the 5th level of Dao Venerable, while he was at the 6th level. In terms of realm, he could easily crush Lin Moyu. In Rift Wind Cliff, time was precious and couldn't be wasted.
How decisive!
Lin Moyu chuckled. If the other was decisive, Lin Moyu was even more so. The power Great Tao evolved into a Great Tao true body, governed by the undying Great Tao. The power Great Tao gathered all the power in his body and unleashed it.
You dare to fight back? Then die.
Seeing Lin Moyu daring to retaliate, the other let out a cold laugh. Boom! Lin Moyu's fist shattered the other's fist, its momentum undiminished as it continued towards the opponent.
This is impossible.
He instinctively wanted to dodge, but Lin Moyu had already firmly locked onto him. The Great Tao locked the enemy, leaving nowhere to escape. The fist landed on him. With a scream, his physical body was almost instantly shattered, crashing heavily into the cliff wall. Lin Moyu didn't stop, throwing another punch. Since he had started, he wouldn't be soft-handed. He would keep hitting until the other was dead.
Fellow Taoists, spare me. It was just a misunderstanding.
He screamed in terror. Lin Moyu said nothing, his fist unchanged. With a huge boom, even Rift Wind Cliff shook a few times. This 6th-level Tao Venerable had turned into a puddle of meat paste. His soul crushed along with his body. Lin Moyu stood in mid-air, his long robe fluttering in the fierce wind. His gaze swept towards the distance, his voice traveling against the wind.
You others, do you also want to try and rob me?
There were several other Tao Venerables in the distance. They had originally been watching the show, even thinking of being the fisherman who benefits from the fight between the snipe and the clam. But seeing Lin Moyu so decisively kill the other, they all put away their thoughts. At Lin Moyu's words, everyone quickly left, not daring to linger. Lin Moyu killing a 6th-level Tao Venerable with 2 punches left an indelible impression in their minds. No one was so blind as to dare provoke him. Lin Moyu put away the treasure sword and continued to search along the wind. Slowly, Lin Moyu finally discovered some clues. In Rift Wind Cliff, the closer to the bottom of the cliff, the more stable the wind force became. It wasn't that the wind became smaller, but that the wind at the bottom of the cliff was stronger than above, yet more regular. Because the wind force was too strong, the edges at the bottom of the cliff had been polished smooth. One could even see the direction of the polishing. Following the direction of the polishing, one could judge the direction the wind came from. No matter how the wind turned, as long as one followed the direction the wind came from, one could find the source. And the source was the core area.
Such a good method. How did I only discover it now?
Lin Moyu self-deprecatingly thought.
It seems I'd become too reliant on my spiritual sense. I should have discovered this earlier.
He thought back to when he was doing dungeons in Small Worlds. At that time, his spiritual sense wasn't so keen, and he often had to carefully observe to find the correct method. Later, as his spiritual sense became keener, he observed less. Observation was still very important. Lin Moyu felt he should combine observation with spiritual sense. That would be better. At the bottom of the cliff, Lin Moyu saw some more Tao Venerables. Many Tao Venerables were searching for treasures at the bottom of the cliff. The wind was stronger here. Those below the 4th level of Tao Venerable could hardly stay long at the bottom of the cliff. The Tao Venerables encountered here were basically all above the 4th level. There were many Tao Venerables in Rift Wind Cliff. Even though Rift Wind Cliff was large enough, one could often encounter them. Lin Moyu searched for the direction of the wind at the bottom of the cliff. After half a day of effort, he finally found the source of the wind. Standing in front of a steep cliff, strong wind blew out from the cliff, hitting his body like fists. Golden light flowed on Lin Moyu's body as he activated the undying golden body to block the fierce wind. Looking at the cliff, Lin Moyu's lips curled slightly upward.
A divine rune formation. Rift Wind Cliff is indeed related to the origin catastrophe.
The cliff before his eyes seemed to be a dead end, but it wasn't. On the other side of the cliff was the core area. This cliff was formed by a divine rune formation. For those who didn't understand divine runes, this was just a cliff. The cliff had no top. If one flew up, they could fly out of Rift Wind Cliff. Lin Moyu looked at the cliff, divine light flashing in his eyes. One divine rune after another appeared before him. Although this divine rune formation was complex, compared to the divine rune formation in Nine Heavens Peak, it was child's play, not even close. Soon, Lin Moyu found the method to break it.
It seems the three ancestors knew I was studying divine runes, so he thought I could pass through here. Looking at it this way, the three ancestors must have been here before. But why didn't he place the small house himself? There must be a problem. I need to be careful too.
Lin Moyu was cautious in his heart. There must be problems in the core area. He wasn't afraid of the Wu family, but worried that something might have been left behind from the origin catastrophe. Just as Lin Moyu was about to act, a voice suddenly came from behind.
Young friend, this is a dead end. You should go elsewhere.
Lin Moyu turned to look. A male 8th level Dao Venerable was slowly walking over. He looked very young, seemingly not old in age. This meant he had also become a Dao Venerable at a young age, probably a genius in his time. Looking at his clothing, Lin Moyu bowed slightly.
Elder, are you from the ancient Lotus Holy Land?
The man smiled.
I didn't expect young friend to recognize this old man's background.
Lin Moyu said,
Although the ancient Lotus Holy Land doesn't often move in the world, this junior once knew the immortal Lotus Holy Maiden, so I could recognize it.
The man was even more surprised.
You actually know immortal Lotus? Your age.
He suddenly startled.
Are you Lin Moyu?
Lin Moyu said.
Elder knows this junior?
The man said.
After the genius competition, the Fire Lotus Elder returned and mentioned young friend Lin, praising you highly. Immortal Lotus also said young friend Lin was a heaven-defying talent. Seeing you today, I feel their words weren't accurate enough.
Lin Moyu spoke with 3 parts humility.
Elder is joking. How am I any heaven-defying talent? I just had some good luck.
The man shook his head.
Seeing you today, Wind realizes that young friend Lin is probably the most outstanding genius in 1,000,000 years. 3,000 years old, 5th level Dao Venerable, what extraordinary talent.
Lin Moyu said.
Elder praises too much. If this junior hasn't guessed wrong, Elder should be the Wind Lotus Elder of the ancient Lotus Holy Land, right?
Wind Lotus nodded.
You guessed correctly. May I ask what young friend Lin is doing here? There's nothing here. Only the opportunity to comprehend the Wind Great Tao. I observe that young friend doesn't cultivate the Wind Great Tao.
Lin Moyu said.
This junior was entrusted by someone to do something. I hope Elder Wind can keep secret what this junior is about to do next.
Wind Lotus looked at Lin Moyu with interest, agreeing very readily.
All right, Wind promises young friend Lin. No matter what young friend does, Wind won't reveal it to others.
Lin Moyu smiled.
Thank you, Elder.
He didn't really care if Wind Lotus told others. The worst outcome would be the Wu family coming to cause trouble for him. But so what? He wasn't afraid of the Wu family at all. Drawing several divine runes, the divine runes merged into the cliff. A door immediately appeared on the cliff. More fierce wind blew out from the door. Wind Lotus Elder's face was full of surprise.
Behind this is